Welcome to Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.
This is Banned from Ringside.
Tonight on your Banned from Ringside podcast, we have your Fastlane recap. Seth Rollins retains. We have new Undisputed Tag Team Champions. We have the Tuesday Night Wars. We have Destruction in Ryogoku. That and a whole bunch more tonight on the Banned from Ringside podcast.
I was so glad I did have to work on Tuesday, just so I didn't have to worry about flipping.
I'd like, ditch that 9 to 5. It's time to feel alive. Hello, Mark. So welcome to the Banned from Ringside podcast. As always, I'm your host, Bill Vagey, a.k.a. the Misha Tofu driver. And sitting directly across from me, we have JC Cornelius Bell. What's going on, JCB?
Highway to the beef zone. We're gonna take it right into the beef zone. And on that lovely note, I'll ask your congregation to bow their heads as I read from the latest edition of the Banned from Ringside podcast, volume 329, chapter 3, verse 14. And the good smart saith, hashtag boo the heels. It's all good, baby. Listen, share, subscribe, repeat. The Holy Trinity of BFR. Loaded week of wrestling. Interesting Tuesday night. Interesting Wednesday night. I didn't even watch wrestling Wednesday night. It was so fucking weird. I came home. I was like, okay, I'm going to watch. I don't have anything to watch.
It definitely was one of those things where you didn't realize how much
baseball.
It did really. I had no idea how much I was conditioned for Wednesday night is wrestling night. It's like Monday night. I guess I don't know how many weeks it takes for you to get conditioned to that shit, but it was kind of like, ooh, I got a free Wednesday night.
I watched the Diamondbacks.
My wife,
the Dodgers.
Yeah, I watched the baseball game. My wife went to her friend's house. She doesn't like horror movies, and there was this horror movie called Speak No Evil that I've been hearing tons of good things about, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I will click on that free 7-day trial on Shudder movies, and I'll watch this movie. The movie, by the way, is fucking great. Don't let anybody spoil anything for you. If you haven't seen it, Speak No Evil. It's very unnerving. But anyway,
was that the same title that the movie that Kane was in when he did the WWE?
Oh, was that called Speak No Evil? I did not watch the Kane one. I didn't
watch it either, but it kind of sounds familiar.
It's like this. It's this Danish Dutch. And yes, I know there is a difference, but it's a Danish couple and a Dutch couple, and it's this horror movie that came out last year. And, you know, I listen to some movie podcasts, and I know that people are really high on it, and I know it's supposed to be mega fucking unsettling and scary. And I was like, there's no way Aaron would watch this with me, and I got there's no fucking wrestling tonight.
Oh,
you know?
Why not,
I watched a little bit of baseball, and I was like, I'm going to turn on this. It's an hour and a half, you know.
Oh,
easy. Tight 90 minutes, you know. Not like one of these fucking movies that they have these days. It's like 3.5 hours long. I just fucking knocked it out.
Yep.
It was good. It's worth your time if you like horror movies. No Two Beer Zach Pullman tonight. Two Beer is out in Portland. His parents are in town. He's an only child, and they very rarely acknowledge that he exists. So when they come to visit him, he has to kind of put us off. I know that he wanted to be here. I know that there's tons of stuff to talk about. There's no Vice tonight either. I know that Vice has been hanging out as per lately, and
Reba keeps looking up like he's getting ready to pop up again.
Yeah, I think she's looking for that mouse that we saw last week.
See, here you go with this bullshit again.
Dude,
I didn't even see the mouse, okay?
I was sober when I saw the mouse. I wasn't even high yet.
Okay, fair.
Shout out to Mike Fernandez making fun of us for getting high during
this. We drinking too this week too, boss, so we got it all covered.
I mean, they're Bush NAs.
Right.
But, I mean, so tons of wrestling to get to tonight. You know, I don't know if you're new to the podcast. I don't know if you're old to the podcast, but I will reiterate that this podcast started many, 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 many years ago. We just used to not record it, and It just used to take place on a patio in downtown St. Louis as either I was working or not working or just drinking. Jason and I played softball together for several years, and the topic always turned to wrestling, as you might imagine. So we definitely miss Zach. We definitely miss Vice. But this is the
Original.
I'm not saying this is banned from Ringside in its original form because
No.
banned from Ringside included Zach the whole time. But
Before banned from Ringside.
before banned from Ringside, this was it. It was just me and Jason yelling at each other.
Agreed.
So, hey, Jason.
What up, turd?
Even though you just dunked on me, it's still funny.
Let's get started with that. Let's get started with that one count.
I was say, blocking him. Oh, shit. No, I'm not.
All right, JCB, kick it off.
Let's start with Fastlane from Saturday night. 5-match card. I was a little surprised it was just 5 matches. I expected your impromptu 6-match, even though Pat McAfee did make a surprise appearance. That's what you have. That's what you can do when you have a private plane and you got that ESPN money. You can do Game Day and Fastlane all at the same time, even though you're going back home. Neither here nor there. Let's get down to it. Start at the top of the card with Cody and Jay versus Judgment Day, being Finn Balor and Damian Priest for the Undisputed Tag Team titles. Cody and Jay go over. I kind of speculated last week that this might be a thing because we needed something for Cody to do in the meantime between now and WrestleMania season. Not really count WrestleMania season as Royal Rumble going forward. If you believe the rumors, Bray Wyatt was next up for Cody Rhodes, and obviously Bray Wyatt is no longer with us, so that left Cody with the void, and it felt like they were booking him in that void. Not necessarily him being with Judgment Day in that feud was a bad thing, but we were expecting after Brock another single, at least I was, another singles feud leading towards the Royal Rumble, and obviously we didn't get that. Probably the reason why Bray Wyatt was the next feud, neither here nor there. The match itself I thought was good. JD McDonough obviously being the scapegoat here, taking out Damian Priest before the actual pinfall, protects Priest, but it comes into play later on in the main event where, unfortunately, you didn't have the specter of the Money in the Bank hanging over a last man standing match. I don't think it took away from that, but it was definitely in play if you wanted to have it. Obviously, they didn't. Like I said, I thought the match was good. It was a good way to kick off the show. Obviously, you got Cody getting the crowd invested. Surprised? No. Disappointed? A little. I don't think you necessarily. Really? A little.
I was expecting a little bit more disappointment out of you because they are a makeshift tag team.
Yeah, but I mean, Priest and Finn are a makeshift tag team too. They're just now getting to the point where
they have a name that's not Priest and Finn, though.
I agree with that.
I think that was one of your criteria.
It's still under the
in
Judgment
the old
Day
days.
umbrella.
Okay,
I'm not a huge fan of that either. I mean, it's makeshift to me versus makeshift. So I mean, I can't really get mad either way, here or there. At least on that aspect.
Judgment Day is not makeshift. They are.
Finn and Priest are makeshift.
But they're
an
established team, though. They're on the same squad. They wear the same. They have a uniform.
Okay,
kind of.
all right, fair enough. So it's
another one of your criteria.
It's running back and wide receiver. Okay, fair enough. If you want to go that route, we can go that route.
Flex.
But they're still
the flex positions.
No, I'm not talking fantasy. I'm talking about real 11-on-11. They're still position players. Okay, it's not. We're not sitting there talking about a team. They're not the Patriots when they came out the Super Bowl as a team and they didn't come out as individual.
Did I ever tell you that story about when I was sitting up at Maggie O'Brien's one time? This is pre-Aaron, so this is like 2008. I was sitting, I might have been sitting up there with Dolan. I don't know. It was a long time ago.
RP.
Right. And I was sitting next to this guy who used to play for East St. Louis, and he kept talking. I mean, this guy was probably my age now. He was probably 44, 43, something like that. And he kept talking about his height. Like, I was watching the football game with him. I was kind of bullshitting, and he kept saying how he was a balance back. He's like, I was a balance back. I was a balance back. These are two balance backs. What is a balance back?
That's what I was getting ready to ask you. I was getting ready to say,
he kept saying balance back. He kept saying he was a balance back.
Are you a 3-down back? Is that what it means? Because I'm thinking
he was a
that
balance back.
Okay, I'm just saying if he's a 3-down back, then if that's a balance back, so be it. You're in the game all the time. Like I said, I wasn't surprised. I was just kind of like, really? I like Judgment Day, and this ultimately that's where my disappointment lies, is because this feels like the start of at least Damian Priest on the way out. and maybe JD McDonough coming in.
They didn't do a whole lot of story development on Raw, but I'm sure there's more to come with Judgment Day. But I will say this, that if you want to know if WWE is back, like good again, as good as it's ever been since, and I don't think this pay-per-view was very good. It was fine.
It was fine.
I didn't watch the only match that I watched live was after I got home from my sister's house, and I watched Nakamura and Rollins was coming on right when I got home.
Gotta watch it.
But that crowd was hot for Cody and Jay. Those two guys are two mega over baby faces.
Agreed.
And you can't be mega over baby faces without mega over heels. And it just shows that whole bloodline thing, you know, we criticize it sometimes. We've loved it in the past. But it has been steady, and it has been a boon for creative when it comes to WWE, because that crowd was hot as fuck when Cody got the 1, 2, 3 on Finn Balor. So, yeah, it's not surprising to me. Nobody here picked it, but I think that Zach wasn't here to pick it. He sent in his picks, but we were all kind of like, I wouldn't be surprised if Jay and Cody won.
No, and that's okay. I mean, it's not the end of the world. It's already has it's an inner intrigue. Michael Cole on Monday night kind of was like, you know, this is great and everything, but what about, you know, finishing the story? And then
I love that.
Before he even said anything, Sammy and KO came out. So, I mean,
but it's good that WWE hasn't forgotten about that.
And they acknowledged it. And like, look, we get it, but this story's not done. So, obviously, you know, more to come in that area.
This also puts Cody and Jay in a spot where they can bounce back and forth to SmackDown and Raw.
That was going to be my next point. I expect to see them.
They kept the bloodline apart for a while, but not very long, because Jey Uso is going to be right back there with Cody, and Cody and Roman still have unfinished business, and of course Jay has unfinished business with the rest of the bloodline. So, not really mad at it. Did you watch the press conference?
Someone sent me the clip of the press conference. Which
I think it was on our group text.
I think it was on our group text that someone sent it to me on Twitter with the night I was watching it. I've seen it multiple times. That motherfucker was lit.
Listen. Cody and Jay won in the first match. And you know they had their itinerary for the night. They were like, "Listen, you're going to go over at 7:30 p.m. and then at 10:30 p.m. you need to be present for the press conference." And
we got 3 hours. Shit.
Yeah, what else are you going to do?
Negro, that's all you had to say.
I know if me and Jason are winning at 7:30 and we got to be on at 10:30, we're going to get fucked up. And those guys got fucked up. So good for you guys. I'm glad they got fucked up. I'm glad that they bonded over their new. You know what I haven't really heard much talk about is Jey Uso, who is a multi-tag team champion, is now a tag team champion with somebody besides Jimmy Uso.
Someone, I think.
Do you see Jimmy and Solo taking it from them?
No.
It is notable that Jey Uso now, I mean, he's clearly the one that they're behind as a solo star.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently his merch is flying off the shelves. Main event Jey Uso. So, yeah, I don't mind this. At least they're telling stories and they're making shit make sense.
Yeah. And that's all I can ultimately ask. I mean, once it dawned upon me that Cody can go on SmackDown and legitimately go on there, you just don't have to make up an excuse. Cody's coming on SmackDown to make a major announcement. No, he can be on SmackDown.
Right.
You know, that makes sense. Pretty Deadly would be a great team to take it off of Cody and Jay.
Now we're talking.
Young team, tag team, up and coming heels. It would, at least for me, it would check the boxes I would ask for someone to take it off of Cody and Jay at this point. Next up, you had Lashley and the Street Profits versus Rey Mysterio, Santos Escobar, and X. X did not come out until much later in the match, so it started off as a handicap match, but ultimately Carlito comes out as X and joins in the fray. Not very long thereafter, the pinfall was made. I can't remember who Carlito pinned, neither here nor there. This is where I was more mad than anything else, because even with Carlito there, I get it. He didn't have to take the pin, but damn, what the fuck are we doing with Lashley and the Street Profits? I mean, if we're telling this story, then Lashley needs to come back Friday night higher than fish grease at this point.
So there's nothing really here to talk about in terms of the match, as long as you've watched a lot of WWE wrestling over the last few years. The Street Profits played their roles well as heels, which is not something that everybody does well. But
no, I'm finally glad that they're kind of making them lean into the fact that they're going to be heels at some point.
They were definitely heels here. The real story here is this was my Stone Cold Lead Pipe Lock of the week.
Ow!
So it's -2 points. So
good thing I didn't let you talk me into that shit.
So I had Cena and LA Knight. And I had EO second most likely to win. So that's only, and I had everything else wrong. So that's only 2 points, and I got -2 points on this one. So that leaves your boy with a big old goose egg.
Damn.
That is rough. That's where the five match structure really fucks your boy up. Because I did not go anywhere. And Jason and Zach Jason kept pace with Zach because they both got 5 points apiece because Jason switched his Stone Cold Lead Pipe Lock of the week to Cena and LA Knight. But listen, let's talk about Carlito, because right now, he is still the front runner for my markout moment of the year, when he came back and in Puerto Rico and cleared house and then pulled the apple out of his pocket and took a big bite of the apple. That, to me, is like the stuff of legends. I will never forget watching that because it was incredible.
Is he LWO bound?
Well, it's not scuttlebutt. It's confirmed. He's back. I mean, Carlito is back for a while.
Okay.
Carlito is, I don't know if he's going to be full-time or a special attraction or whatever, but he is back. And Carlito, I mean, why did he ever get released in the first place? Fucking Carlito, man. This guy is, he has what the kids, you know what, I'm not even going to say what the kids would call it. Because
say what you would call it. You a grown-ass man. Say it with your chest.
I mean, he's got it. He is fun in hell. He is funner than hell. He is charisma. He is charisma unbound. I love Carlito.
When I think of a WWE sports entertainer, Carlito is someone that not immediately comes to mind, but he makes sense in the WWE system. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you can go to AEW.
I think you should take the belt off Roman Reigns.
Shit, come on now. Let's slow down, nigga. The Rocks just entered the jack. I mean, what the fuck, you know? It's cool that he's back. I really have high hopes for Lashley and the Street Profits as a faction, and I thought this would be the jumping off point. Obviously, that didn't happen. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but I thought this was a perfect spot to do it.
You know what Carlito does better than anybody else?
Spit apples at somebody?
He spits in the face of those who don't want to be cool. So, Carlito's back. Hell yeah. Viva la Carlito. We love him. What was next, Jason?
Triple threat match next. Charlotte Flair versus Asuka versus Io for the WWE Women's title. Io goes over. I thought this was a pretty good match. I thought Three Beer kind of said it best, where as long as they don't try to do too much and try to have big spots, and I thought they were trying to do that early and just kind of have a triple threat match. I thought that's what we got kind of on the back end. I thought that would make the best match, and ultimately that's what we end up getting. I kind of just feel bad for Asuka, and I always say this, but once again, this just feels like another time where I don't think she could have won, but she just feels like she was a irrelevant part of this story. If you'd have just rolled out Io and Charlotte and just have them to have the title match, I thought it'd have been way more effective than just having Asuka there. The miss in the face early, don't get me wrong, it did give me, it was like, oh shit, it's going down like this, we're going to have a quick finish. And obviously, Charlotte comes out of that and we get a match out of it. I did think Bayley was going to cost Io the match. I would be lying if I said otherwise. That's just the wrestling cynicism in me, but Bayley ends up coming through in the end, distracting the ref, and ultimately helping Io retain the title. I thought Io didn't deserve to lose the title at this point. We still got some story to tell with Io. But no, I thought the match was pretty good. Ultimately, like I said, to me, the biggest takeaway is Asuka is just how she's just seemingly breaking case of emergency type of a situation. It's never really been a big push on the main roster. NXT, obviously, aside, she was the woman in NXT.
Did I pick Charlotte to win? Yes. Yep. Am I glad that Io retained? Yes. Did Charlotte and Asuka for two triple threat matches in a row kind of, hit a soft grounder? Yeah, I mean, this match was just okay. This match could have been so much better. I would have rather seen Io versus Charlotte straight up, a motivated Charlotte, or Io versus Asuka straight up.
You already got it, though.
Yeah, I know. This was fine. I'm glad that Io won. They kept Charlotte out of it with some shenanigans, so Io goes over. They need to have Io beat Bianca Belair or something to have this title reign count for something.
I can't say I disagree with that totally.
Or have her break up from Bayley and have her versus Bayley, which I would like also.
That's what I think would be, I think more so is going to be if I had to put money on what would happen first, I think Bayley and Io break up, they have that match first. If Bianca comes back first and they have that match, fucking great. I would be down for that. But just with Crown Jewel around the corner, not saying that they're going to be on Crown Jewel because, even though Saudi's being quote-unquote progressive, I'm not asking for, a complete 180. Survivor Series feels like more so of a realistic proposition for a Bayley Io match. Now
I think that
Bianca comes back. Is Jade going to be on SmackDown or Raw? I guess there was my next question. I thought I saw her going to be on Raw, which would kind of make a little more sense. I don't think you want to put her and Bianca on the same brand just yet.
I'll tell you this much: for everybody who was talking shit about how she needs to go to NXT first, that ain't happening, guys. She is being presented as a massive deal. I know it wasn't you.
No, I said she should have went. I would have said she should have went to NXT first, just to get her feet wet and learn what WWE wants and expects from her in their system.
That ain't happening.
That's fine.
She's down there doing hip tosses right now.
Good.
She's hip tossing the fuck out of people right now.
That's fine.
She ain't going. Okay. She ain't going to NXT.
I ain't mad. I ain't even mad. I'm going to be very curious to see what brand she's on and how she's booked on said brand. I pray to guys anything close to what they did with AEW. If you can stay off of that unbeaten streak for a little bit, I would be more than happy with that.
Yeah, the thing is with the unbeaten streak in AEW, it made her a name. She didn't really beat anybody. It was the TNT title. They never put it on. She was never even in the conversation for the women's heavyweight belt. So it just doesn't. I mean
that makes no sense.
Anyway, you and Zach both had Io winning. You guys both got 2 points. I got 1 point, but obviously that point got negated. By Lashley, the Profits, by Bobby and the Profits.
Singing off key like a motherfucker, bumping into each other and shit. It's the 4 heartbeats.
Who's giving me a chop this time? Maybe, you know what? Maybe Tender Mahal can find somebody. Maybe I can get a chop from Josh Alexander this time.
I'm sure he could arrange.
Hook it up?
Yeah, God forbid. I think he might be able to pull a string or two. Next up, John Cena and LA Knight versus Jimmy and Solo Sikoa. This was what it was. I was not a huge fan of it. I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of Jimmy and what they're doing with him as the bloodline. I'm just waiting for tomorrow night for Scorched Earth when Roman returns. Your boy is not going to be happy. Jimmy running around here acting like he's the leader. Paul is making deals with Judgment Day, even though it was quote-unquote authorized. It went left, so Paul's going to take the fall for that. Solo is probably the only one that's going to be above board because you don't want to cross Solo just yet. LA Knight is going to be in his crosshairs. Now it feels like Crown Jewel might be the LA Knight Roman Reigns match because now you have all of these factors in play, and LA Knight seemingly is the center of this whole turmoil as it seems to be. Like I said, the match itself was what it was. I wasn't even a huge fan of it. If there was a shower to take at 4 a.m, I probably would have took it right here.
This, not much to say about this match. This went exactly how we thought it was going to. Jimmy taking the pin. Solo super protected. I think the only thing that's noteworthy about this match is that it lasted 12 or 13 minutes. LA Knight was the one that got the hot tag, not Cena. Cena was in there taking a beating. LA Knight takes the hot tag. LA Knight cleans house. He didn't work a whole lot. And dare I say, they may have already overcorrected. Like maybe he's a little too protected for a guy that really hasn't done shit yet. Unless they're building him up for Roman, Crown Jewel, which is
they're totally building him up, and that's fine.
For Crown Jewel, you think it's going to happen that fast?
I don't see what the difference is between a couple more weeks. I mean,
When's Crown Jewel?
It's sometime in November. It's either first or second week of November. I honestly can't remember. It's a Saturday. It's in the afternoon.
Okay.
So what? We're in the middle of October. So what? 2 more weeks versus another month. I mean, you could roll out, enhancement talent or, have him beat like Finn Balor or some shit. I think he's already done that. So, I mean, in this scenario, we're kind of running out of guys for him to beat. He's not obviously in the U.S. title picture or the Intercontinental title picture. So, I mean, Crown Jewel feels about right. I mean, why fuck around? Pull the trigger, be done with it.
November 4th.
Okay, there you go. I don't see a problem with waiting 2 more weeks to get this thing done. I mean, LA Knight is hot as hot can be right now, and I don't see a reason. What do you always say? Strike when the iron's hot. Time to strike.
Yeah, not much you can say about this. LA Knight, super hot. I didn't care about this match at all.
Neither did I. Way too predictable, and the match wasn't good enough for me to be like, oh, shit, damn, okay, well, now we got some shit going.
It's a SmackDown match.
It was legitimately a SmackDown match, especially when you had Solo and Cena fight up the ramp. I'm like, okay, yeah, you know how this shit's going to end. So it is what it is. Main event time, Shinsuke Nakamura versus Seth Rollins, last man standing for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. I will obviously say this was my match of the night, and it was the match of the night by far. A little bit of a slow start, but once they got it out of gear, it really started to pick up. I thought the match really picked up once they got out of the ring and used the tables, the high spots, the high escalation spots in certain areas to where it really took advantage of the situation. I thought for 30 seconds there, I thought Seth was going to lose this match. This was Shinsuke's best match on the main roster by far, and this is kudos to Triple H and all the work he's done to rehabilitate Shinsuke from the damage Vince's did with the bad booking, the poor gimmicks, the low blows to AJ, yada, yada, yada. I would be lying if I didn't think for 30 seconds Seth wasn't going to make the 10 count, but obviously he did. Shinsuke falling, but then kind of, not staying down for 10 long, I thought was probably the best.
I thought it was going to be a double I thought they both weren't going to get up. I thought
Really? You thought they were going to kick the thing over?
Man, I was dead sober watching it. I was like, it makes sense that what it was a Falcon Arrow through a table, right? I've always said that Falcon Arrow seems like a finisher. I don't know why it's not a finisher. But it makes sense that Shinsuke can't get up because he should be selling the fuck out of that move. But the story this entire time, including this entire match, which was a bruiser of a match, some really big spots. The double knees through the table. I know the table was gimmicked. I mean, it broke right down the middle.
I don't care.
Motherfucker was like the Red Sea in Ten Commandments. It was just like right down the middle.
I don't care. Scatter when I was like, oh, shit.
I mean, that's Shinsuke Nakamura is my age. That's a 43-year-old man going double knees, landing on his knees. Even if Seth Rollins kind of catches him, he almost kind of overshot him. That was the spot where I was like, God damn, Shinsuke's really letting it all out there.
Yeah, that's why I was like, okay, now it's on.
The story is that Seth Rollins is a broken man. This was the perfect time to take the belt off of Seth Rollins. The story was there. The contender was there. The stars were aligning.
Damian Priest wasn't there. That's the one thing.
So I missed that part while I was watching it live, which I guess Damian Priest says
No, Rhea was like, cough that motherfucker up. You're not going out there tonight. Now give me the briefcase.
Right.
So right then I was like, okay, we're going to get a match, and we're going to get a winner regardless of what happens. Win, lose, or draw, we're going to get a winner.
So I didn't know that while I was watching it live, and so I kept watching it till the very end. I was like, I guess this is it. That really didn't change my enjoyment of the match, which I'm not as high on as you are and a few other people that I saw online. It's kind of a spot fest. I would prefer more of a, call me a nerd, call me a neckbeard, call me a basement dweller, all you want, but I would have preferred more of a match in ring where they're matching move for move, reversals for reversals. I know that's not the style. I know that's not the WWE style, but these are two guys that could have done it. Not saying it wasn't a bad match, not saying I wasn't into it while I was watching it. I think that Rollins going over was the bad move, and, obviously they have plans going forward, and that's the thing that you never really think of, is that if you work yourself into a shoot and you start thinking X is going to win, you never think about, okay, but they probably have plans a month from now, 2 months from now with Y. So that's where we're at now. I was disappointed, though.
I can see why you were disappointed, because, I mean, it would have – I wouldn't say it makes sense, but if there was the time to pull the trigger on Shinsuke, this is when you do it. If you don't, when do you do it, if at all? And I think that's kind of the spinoff question for Shinsuke. Is this his last chance at being a world heavyweight champion in WWE? And my knee-jerk reaction is to kind of say, yeah. I would love to see him get another chance. They would just, he would have to, probably switch over to the SmackDown brand. And then obviously Roman could not be champion at this point. You're not going to have Shinsuke beat Roman, even though that would be a...
Will Shinsuke ever hold the big belt?
No. You had your chance twice. Well, really once. Him winning the Royal Rumble and facing AJ Styles, that was the chance, and that was under the Vince regime. We know how that went.
What a shame.
This time around, Triple H made Shinsuke to feel as legit as humanly possible, to, like I said, to the point where I thought there for a little bit, especially when they were on the outside up in the stands by the fans or whatever, and Shinsuke did the move where he did something where he landed Rollins on his back through like the table or some shit like that, and that's why I was like, okay, see, this is it.
Do you think it's strange that WWE in 2023, with the globalization of wrestling, with WCW that came before it, TNA, Impact, New Japan influence, AEW, that they never have had a Japanese world heavyweight men's champ. Do you think it's strange, or do you think it's...
No, it's considering the mentality of the person in charge at the time.
What year do you think that we're going to get a WWE? Just give me a year. I'm going to say 2028, and I'm going to say it's Takeshita.
I was going to say it's a 5-year plan at this point. If Triple H is really going forward, I would say 24-30. The champion.
24-30.
Oh, I'm sorry, 2030.
That is really far away. 24-30.
Who would be the champion at that point?
That's a full 406 years away. I might be dead.
Yeah, I might be too. If I'm not, then I've done something amazing. Takeshita, I don't think is going anywhere anytime soon.
Be like Eddie Murphy and Vampire in Brooklyn.
Everybody's a motherfucking neck up in this shit. I think it's going to happen because I think ultimately Triple H wants to do what the plan was before the pandemic. WWE Japan, WWE Germany, WWE fill in the blank. So it's a global territory system, if that makes sense.
So we've been giving out letter grades on these pay-per-views, and I've teased you in the past about your low grades. I always ask you first.
You do
to give a letter grade.
All right, have it in mind.
So this time I'm going to give a letter grade.
Okay.
Okay. So I am going to go with a D+.
Ain't too far off. I was saying C-.
So you went higher than me.
A little bit higher, yeah.
Unbelievable. That's gonna. Anything else that you want to say about this before we move on to the next?
No, just if you didn't watch Raw on Monday night, I can't remember who Adam Pearce was talking to backstage, but in the background, Rhea Ripley was talking to Drew McIntyre. Just food for thought.
Yeah, we might get to that a little bit later. Let's get to that 2 count.
1, 2, 3.
All right, so the 2 count's going to be a bit of a hybrid, okay? So we're going to do Collision, and we're going to fold it into the Tuesday Night Wars, just because I don't know when else we would talk about Collision. But there was one thing that happened on Collision that is very newsworthy and pretty badass in my estimation. So we had Big Bill and Ricky Starks beat FTR for the AEW Heavyweight Tag Team titles. This match took 4 minutes and 42 seconds.
God damn.
FTR they are world beaters. They have been putting on the best matches of the last year and a half in tag team. They've had great matches with everybody. The Briscoes, Aussie Open, the Young Bucks. They have been absolutely killing it.
Bullet Club Gold.
Bullet Club Gold. Thank you very much. That hour match that was on the first Collision or the second Collision.
Bang, bang, bang.
They have been killing it. I have my issues with FTR. I just think they're kind of dorks. And,
damn.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, hey, FTR.
What up, turd?
But there is no denying their in-ring prowess and how great they've been.
They are OVER. I'm sorry, I wouldn't even say that. They are OVA. Over.
Big time. People love them. People love working with them. It doesn't seem like they have people that they don't like or people that don't like them. At least they were able to work with the Young Bucks, even though they're friends with CM Punk, XYZ, whatever. Anyway, Big Bill and Ricky Starks basically jump them at the beginning of this match and go on to a squash match. I mean, it was a 4.5-minute match. The FTR drops it in front of a hot crowd. It was a hot match. Jason, what do you think about this title change?
I know I said I wanted Ricky Starks to be the first Black World Heavyweight Champion.
You did. That is what you said.
And I'll stand by that. And I know you said that FTR, you wanted them to drop the titles.
I did. Yes, I said that.
I was like, God damn, what the fuck just happened?
I found out about it via text.
I didn't even. Well, this I found.
You were on the text. I got it from Zach Pullman.
I had saw the match beforehand. Yeah, right. Who is Zach Pullman?
He's not here.
I had saw the match, and then the text came subsequently thereafter. I think it was like the day after. But like I said, I already saw the shit, and I'm watching the shit, and I'm like, is this happening? Is this really in my head? I'm watching FTR just getting crushed. I mean, Big Bill is choke slamming anything that is non-Ricky Starks related on the table, in the ring. I mean, multiple times. I'm sitting there like, okay, something's gonna happen, right? Somebody's coming down to help these jokers, right? Nope. Dax is gonna kick out of this, right? Nope. Cash is gonna come in and save, right? Nope. It was. And they set it all up. It was the Orange Cassidy moment in the tag team element. And I'm not mad that they told the same story because, I mean, legitimately, both guys were banged up off of the FTR Aussie Open match. So in this case, if you wanted to do it, this is how you do it. And they did it. It was perfect. I sat there and just watched that Joker in stunned silence. I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like watching Ricky Starks like, do it again. I'm like, do it again? Dude, he's dead. I think you're good. It was perfect. It was the way to change the titles onto the new champions. And then you have Ricky Starks being the puppeteer, pulling the strings, saying, do it again. I'm like, man, okay, enough's enough. I'm like, man, I felt like old boy in Rocky IV. Throw the damn towel. Man, this shit was over.
This is one of those situations that when people say that Tony Khan, they don't like Tony Khan's booking or whatever, I don't know who was in Tony Khan's ear, but this was a booking stroke of fucking genius.
Yep.
It got the belts off of FTR, which rather than just build it and build it and build it and build it and build it so everybody knows exactly what's coming, or everybody's like, well, it's 50-50, could be the Buck, could be FTR.
Right.
No. They jumped them right at the beginning. They're a believable team. Ricky Starks is Mr. Collision. Big Bill is a credible big guy.
Good for Big Bill on just the IRL side of life. From where he was to where he is now, they're going to be a tag team champion for life as far as I'm concerned. Good for Big Bill. Shit, got your shit right, and now he's a tag team champion with Ricky Starks. And they're both going to get over out of this.
Yes, they are both going to get over out of this, and you did it in a surprising but believable way. This was a booking, like I said, a booking stroke of genius. I loved it. Looking forward to Ricky Starks and Big Bill as champion, and now it makes that Young Bucks victory the week before as being number one contenders make more sense because you're not getting Young Bucks versus FTR again.
You're getting Young Bucks.
You're getting the Young Bucks versus Ricky Starks and Big Bill. Now let's see what these motherfuckers can do because I tell you what. It's going to fucking rule.
It would be a very, very interesting litmus test, to say the least. I hope they don't just pull the trigger and give it back to the Bucks. I wouldn't be upset if it ended in a DQ. I would be elated if, God forbid, they had Starks and Big Bill go over.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, I'm just, it's still the Bucks, It's like I said with FTR and RC Open,
You know what Ricky Starks is not? SAWFT.
Soft. Ricky Starks is the man. I was just, like I said, it was the big surprise of the weekend. And for me not to sit there and watch it.
It's funny to think how over Enzo and Big Cass were.
Dude.
They were so over.
Dude. They came out and motherfuckers knew their shit.
Oh, yeah.
They came up from NXT and they came onto the main roster night one and everybody was just saying it verbatim like they knew it.
Yep.
They were over as fuck.
Yeah.
Crazy over.
Super over. Anyway, congratulations to them. Love it. And here, this gives the opportunity for some storytelling with FTR.
Yeah, have them, sit on the shelf for a little bit, lick the wounds, and then have them come back and chase whoever the tag team champions are. Like I said, hopefully it's still Starks and Bill at the time. But if it's not, just hopefully it's a long reign in between, the next time FTR gets the titles again, because they're going to get the titles again.
Not the match of the night, though. Match of the night, Bryan Danielson versus Kyle Fletcher was next. Holy fucking shit. This was 16 minutes long. Listen, and I'm going to get into this when we go into the NXT versus AEW Dynamite stuff. You can pish-posh any type of wrestling you want. You can be like, oh, Danielson's over there doing 16 minutes with some dude from Australia. He's one of Will Ospreay's. Like, you can make anything sound stupid. It's a variety show, and wrestling can be anything that you want it to be.
It's a buffet, essentially.
You can like Fastlane better than this. But I'll tell you what, if I got to watch
if you did, you're crazy.
The Street Profits and Bobby Lashley versus who'shamacallit, and I love Carlito, or I'm watching Daniel Bryan versus Kyle Fletcher, I'm watching Daniel Bryan versus Kyle Fletcher.
Oh, yeah.
Every fucking time.
Oh, yeah.
And that might make us the fucking nerds. That's fine. There's room for all of it, but this fucking ruled.
Kyle Fletcher is one of those guys that, because I watch a lot of New Japan, I've seen him in singles and in tag team. Mark Davis, same way. And I think both guys are going to get their chance at some point to have a little mini singles run. But now, obviously Mark Davis is hurt again. It's a good chance to introduce Kyle Fletcher to those who don't know or those who don't believe. So, yeah, I thought this was 16 minutes well spent. I knew Kyle Fletcher was going to lose, but it was one of those matches where I was like, yep, okay, he got himself over in the loss, even though Daniel Bryan.
You want to know what year Kyle Fletcher was born?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Tell me.
1998.
God damn it. Oh, I think I have a headache.
He's almost as old as our friendship.
God damn you. I hate you right now.
Anyway, if you haven't watched this match, go out of your way to watch it. Like, if you're just sitting around and you're like, smoking a bowl, and you're like, is there a match? Go find this match and watch it. Gates of Agony come out. I don't want to go through this entire thing. Acclaimed fought Iron Savages. There was a Shane Taylor and Keith Lee thing. Eddie Kingston, Timeless Tony. Eddie Kingston fought Commander, who won the #1 contendership the night before for the ROH Heavyweight Championship. Eddie Kingston versus Commander was pretty good.
Yeah. It was a good title defense for Eddie.
Yeah.
And making him feel like a true double champion.
It ended with Edge and Nick Wayne and Darby Allin and Luchasaurus and Christian, but we're going to talk about that next. So now, smash cut. We're going to Tuesday night. So, Tuesday night.
This is banned from Ringside.
I like what you did there.
Tuesday night, there's something that's never happened before. The Tuesday Night Wars. So... We had the Wednesday Night Wars for a long time on this podcast. Didn't last very long. It was Dynamite versus NXT, but that was Black and Gold NXT. And then we had Monday Night Wars for 7 or 8 years, but for 3 years it was hot as fuck.
Yeah.
Just couldn't have been hotter. And that's what is commonly referred to as the Monday Night Wars. And it ruled. It was Vince versus Bischoff. It was Goldberg versus Austin. And these are not people that actually saw each other. This is just one brand versus the other brand.
Where you legitimately switch from show to show. Good
so
times.
Naturally, wrestling fans are always trying to recreate the Monday Night Wars.
I don't know why.
So every time that there's two things on at the same time, maybe this is just us. I feel like it's every wrestling fan, though. The Wednesday Night Wars were a thing.
Yeah.
The other night, because there was MLB on Wednesday night, Dynamite had to get pushed back to Tuesday, which happened to be Tony Khan's birthday. And then NXT, who has a TV deal coming up, is also on Tuesdays. So it's the first time in a long time that WWE, even though it's NXT, is going up head-to-head against AEW.
I would probably say it was the first time since NXT moved from Wednesday to Tuesday that we've seen them head-to-head.
And NXT moved from Wednesday to Tuesday because they were getting beaten by AEW. Let's listen. I'm just talking about facts here.
No, that is what it is.
That is what happened.
Yeah.
They were like, fuck this.
The ratings were getting to the point where they had to do something.
AEW was brand fucking new.
Yeah.
So, people were interested.
Of course.
So they go head-to-head. I'm going to cut to the chase here.
Please.
As to what I think. I think that AEW basically had a regular-ass Dynamite. Dynamites are very often, Dynamites are completely loaded. You're like, why is this match on free TV? Why is this match on free TV? Why is this match on free TV? Dynamite, I think, has a regular show. They have Bryan Danielson versus Swerve in the opener. Absolute killer. Best match of the week, as far as I'm concerned.
I don't necessarily have a problem with that.
I mean, I know I say it every week. Swerve is ready for it. Put that, like, it is, I feel it with him. I feel it with him. I feel it with him the way that Paul feels about LA Knight. I'm like, Swerve Strickland is right now. Put it on him, please. Let's have some fun. That doesn't mean to say that I didn't like something that came a little bit later. Anyway,
okay.
I am rambling. Jason, I don't want to get too caught up into which one was better, because they were so different in terms of the way you present the wrestling.
Oh yeah,
show.
for sure.
You might not recognize it if you're not a wrestling fan, but if you are keen, if you have a keen eye, they're almost two different products.
Yeah. One
of them's I'm not even going to do that. Jason, what did you think about AEW Dynamite? Let's start with AEW.
I will even watch the buy-in match, Kingston versus Suzuki, solid, buy-in match or whatever. Tony Khan went all in on this one, for lack of a better term. Bought money beforehand to have Kingston versus Suzuki. Bought time after the fact to get an overlap to overrun the NXT overlap. I agree with Bill. This was it felt like a normal Dynamite, but Dynamites are typically good shows. They're a quick 2 hours, and we move it along. Some things move faster than others. I thought, I agree with Bill. Swerve Danielson, I thought, was off the chain. I thought Jericho and Hobbs really established Powerhouse Hobbs as the muscle for the Don Callis family, and it puts Jericho aside for a little bit. I thought that was a good way to use him. Phoenix drops the title to Orange Cassidy, so there's your, I wouldn't even call it a swerve per se, because it is Orange Cassidy. He's getting his rematch from Moxley.
Phoenix was never supposed to win it.
Exactly. So I get it. Now we're course correcting that, and then ultimately we'll get Moxley and Orange Cassidy too. So in this scenario, it was what I would consider a normal Dynamite.
Can we go back? Yeah. I just want to, I don't know if I'm making myself clear how good Dynamite usually is and how unusual it is to be like, oh, we got Bryan Danielson versus Swerve opening up Dynamite. Tony Khan is also the guy that will give, out of nowhere, an hour to FDR versus the Bang Bang Gang.
Agreed.
He is a guy that will be like, oh, we're going to start off Dynamite with 30 minutes Iron Man between Hangman Page and Bryan Danielson.
Kenny Omega and Danielson.
He will do that shit.
Yeah.
We have a lot more to say. But Tony Khan, the argument that he's a mark with $1 billion and he acts like a mark, it's like, yeah. And he's pretty fucking good at it.
No, he is. And I'll give him trouble for things that I personally don't like. But
take the ratings out of it, okay? Take all the ratings out of it. Take the money out of it. Don't think about how much money AEW loses or how much money WWE makes, because that's what all these tribal arguments eventually get down to. It's like, well, what about the ratings, though? I mean, there was 900,000 to 600,000.
Yep.
It's like, okay, well, what the fuck do you care what the ratings are?
Well,
the shit happened.
Yeah.
You watched it.
Well, yeah. Did
you like it? Or are you interested in the horse race?
I think some are interested in the horse race, and that's the tribalism part of it. They don't watch both shows. No matter if you're an AEW tribalist and you just watched the Dynamite show and you didn't watch NXT, you would just say, oh, it's just because they brought in A, B, C, D, and E, and they had all of these stars in, and that's why everybody watched the show. Now, if you're on the other side and you're a WWE guy, be like, okay, well, see, now look, this is what happens when.
That's exactly right.
You move, even though you move to another day, it's still the same old shit.
They can be like what I say. You're like, oh, you got Christian out there with a child and a dinosaur. Like, you can make fun of it any way you want to.
Agreed.
But maybe that's the wrestling you like.
I actually like the shit. I like Christian personally, and I thought it was a good way to. No, I'm just saying, just not.
But you're also not a tribalist, though.
No, I like
you
it all.
Are
That shit.
You are an omnisexual.
I say,
you'll fuck it all.
Where's this buffet start? To the left or to the right? Fuck, we just going in the middle. I thought Dynamite was a wrestling show versus NXT. I thought was more of the variety show.
NXT was an event. Dynamite was Dynamite. That's my point. Like, WWE, I told you I wasn't going to get into the tribalism, but I really do think that, like, WWE, instead of being like, we don't give a fuck about you, and we're going to put on our normal NXT show, and we trust the people that we have on the show enough, and we trust the booking, Instead of that, they were like,
fuck this.
We're putting Undertaker on. We're putting Cena on. We're putting LA Knight on. We're putting Rhea Ripley on. We're getting Paul Heyman. We're getting Dom Mysterio. We're getting Asuka, and we're putting them all on a 2-hour show. That would be a loaded fucking SmackDown. And the thing that Tony Khan tweeted today, where he said that records were broken because neither The Undertaker nor Cena had ever been on a WWE show that drew less than 1 million viewers, after WWE beat them 900,000 to 600,000, sorry, that's funny.
Nah, that's some Petty Crocker shit, dog.
That is so petty, but that's funny.
That's some Tom Petty shit.
Don't be embarrassed. One time somebody told me that the only reason I have a podcast is so I can have the last word on text arguments. Because I get to say it out loud, and you're just in my phone.
Yeah, right. Eat that, motherfucker. I
think Tony Khan's funny.
But, okay, it goes back to, and this is what I was going, when you said softball, I was like, TK, remember the TK thought of it. When we played softball, Skip, Tom MacArthur, shout out to Tom MacArthur, he actually came with, he came up with the fucking theme song, man. Give Tom his respect.
It's also who we met through.
Yeah, exactly. So we have to give him respect. He would come to me and be like, when we first started, he was like, you got, I want you to talk, just, keep talking, talk, especially on the bench. For whatever reason, people don't like to hear my voice. So as we got better, we got into more and more scuffles, arguments, verbal and otherwise. This is what I felt like watching Tony Khan respond to everything that was happening. Okay, so we're going to do... NXT's doing a half-hour, commercial free. We're going to do a half-hour commercial free. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. All these things happen. It comes out south. He takes, the 300K loss in the ratings. That should be it. He should just, at this point, just...
Why? He's a billionaire. He can do it.
I know what he can do. I'm just saying, at a certain point, it's just time to take the L. My boy Slice says it all the time, and I'm a firm believer in that. Sometimes you just got to take the L and walk away. This is the time to take the L and walk away.
What L, though?
The L in the sense of, okay.
No, I'm sorry. I think of it this way. I think of it as a W. I think of it as a W because he forced WWE to call The Undertaker off of his tour, get Cena out there, LA Knight, Asuka. They all flew to Orlando. Have you ever been to Orlando, man?
Never.
No, I wouldn't go there for free. It's a fucking cesspool, man.
Damn.
You don't want to go to Orlando. And they all flew to Orlando on a Tuesday? He got Cena out there. He's got LA Knight doing shit. He's got Dom Mysterio out there. Cody is the guest GM. They pulled out all the guns.
They did.
And they still only got 900,000 viewers. So, I know I said I wasn't going to talk about ratings, but you pull out all your guns and AEW still pulls enough away from you that you can't get 1 million viewers? Sorry, man. That's a dub. Hey, Paul Levesque, take the L and walk away.
I ain't gonna go that far. I was saying the L in the sense of just the social media portion of it. Where now
he should not be in people's replies.
No, at all.
That is stupid.
Yeah, that just shows that.
Doing, dude?
That just shows that people can push your buttons and you can easily be moved and manipulated.
Listen, you can't be replying to people with less than 300 followers.
No, you really can't.
And I have less than 300 followers. Don't reply to me, Tony Khan.
You should be going for the like double check marks or like whatever is verified, like super verified at this point, because everybody's got a blue check mark at this point. You pay $5, you get a blue check mark. I'm just saying that was the one thing, and I don't even care about to me, it doesn't even matter. It matters in the sense of
Zach was right on the text. The winners were us.
Yeah, and
they were two great shows.
The only thing ratings really matters is in the advertising department, how much people are willing to pay to put advertising on your shows.
Yep.
Outside of that, it is what it is. AEW's got a contract.
But I also don't care about that. I just care if I get to see Bryan versus Swerve for 16 minutes on free television on a fucking Tuesday.
Shit, roll that shit out there and do it again. I dare you.
Well, my kid's in the bath. I got the iPad sitting there, and I'm just watching that. I'm like, holy shit, this is good.
You got that head to make cool.
She's like, Rubber Ducky? I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Dad of the year over here.
Don't hear for like 4 minutes.
Oh, shit. What you doing underneath there?
No. Breathe outside the water. Yeah, there you go.
Father of the year, Bob. Bill Vega, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, Bill Vega.
I mean, that's what we should care about. Anyway, we also had Hobbs. He squashes Y2J.
Perfect.
Another great booking decision.
Perfect. Especially with Powerhouse Hobbs. And I always tend to forget he was a former TNT champion. I was watching ROH this afternoon, and Scorpio Sky had a match. I was like, damn. See, this is when the TNT titles started to go south. And it wasn't even on Scorpio Sky's fault. It was just, unfortunately, on his watch where Tony Khan decided to start doing all kinds of random crazy shit. And then next thing you know, Scorpio Sky's taking the fall for it. Neither here nor there.
I'm here for a Hobbs push, though.
Yeah.
Especially with Don Callis.
Don Callis right now is the heat magnet of AEW, and anybody that's around his aura and his, atmosphere is going to catch some remnants of that. Powerhouse needs some sort of push. I'm waiting for him and Miro to come cross paths again. This time around, you'd have Don Callis in the corner. I would expect at that point Hobbs to win that, and then you get a tiebreaker down the line.
Adam Cole and Roderick Strong have another vignette.
I was thinking about this today while I was pumping gas.
I don't know, man.
It's Jump to Shark.
Yeah, I'm done with it.
This portion I'm done with. The Adam Cole, Roddy Strong portion is just not nearly as funny as MJF Adam Cole.
If Adam Cole is legit hurt, then, and they don't want to keep him off TV, I totally understand that. He does not need to be on every week, though. Find a way for him to come back every once in a while.
Have
him be rehabbing and have Roderick Strong still having him do stuff for him or something. Just give it a couple weeks, let him get the surgery
done, and that way you can come back to whatever it is you really ultimately want to do. If this is, if this is a work, then
if it's a work, they're
spinning their wheels for something that better be good.
They're working me if it's a work. I don't think it's a work.
No, I think he's legitimately hurt, and we just need to just go ahead and let this man get it done.
You mentioned Cassidy goes over Phoenix. Not a very long match.
Phoenix
crowd was hot for it.
Yeah, but Phoenix is now the latest that falls under that Orange Cassidy umbrella of where you have match after match after match, injuries start to pile up. And now, at least to me, that's where the story of the match was.
I'll tell you what's not working.
I will agree with you that they did course correct.
I'll tell you what's not working for me is them talking about how that title is cursed. It's like Orange Cassidy held it forever.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say.
What they say, he had 31 defenses of it or something
like that. Yeah, I was going to say it's not the
WWE
Women's Tag Team Championship.
He just lost it.
Yeah, it's not even. Is that what it's been like?
It was All Out.
Right? Okay, so it's like what?
It was the main event of All Out. Yeah,
so it's like a month ago, 6 weeks tops.
Toni Storm has her silent film in the picture-in-picture. I thought that was pretty smart, actually. This is another thing I was going to say, though. Like, You have to notice when Dynamite, like, they knew they were going up against NXT. I know they were having a straight-up wrestling show, but even a straight-up wrestling show these days is a WWE show. This was sports entertainment.
Oh, yeah.
Toni Storm doing her silent film during the picture-on-picture. That is sports entertainment. Adam Cole and Roderick Strong, that's sports entertainment, guys. You guys can talk about wrestling, and I know that I have, and I know they allow for a lot more wrestling in WWE, but it still is WWE style, though.
I agree.
Wardlow, I guess his new thing is just charging out there, smashing a dude, and then charging right out and not taking in any of the adulation. He squashes Matt Sydal. I hope Matt Sydal got a nice little paycheck for that night. I'm sure he did. He's a pro. He's a pros pro. What you think about Wardlow? What do you think about Wardlow's comeback? Reemergence?
Reemergence is I would probably go with that than anything else. Like I said, I mean, it's rinse, wash, rinse, repeat. There's nothing that we haven't seen before, and that to me is the problem. What are we going to do to get Wardlow interesting again, to make people invested again? MJF, period.
I'm skipping Jericho, Daniel Garcia, and Matt Menard backstage. Daniel Garcia and Matt Menard have an issue.
What the fuck are they doing with Daniel Garcia?
Then we have Hangman Adam Page versus Switchblade Jay White in a one-on-one match. This match fucking ruled.
Mm-hmm.
This match was happening, so I had double screens up. I had
couldn't do it, man. My head would explode.
I had my iPad sitting right there on the ottoman,
right,
and I had it Bluetoothed into my ear, my right ear, and then I had my phone sitting up there, and it had baseball on. And then I had NXT on the main TV.
Jesus Christ.
And I was reading my book.
You ain't reading no book, nigga.
No, I was reading a book.
You ain't reading no book.
I can tune it all out. I'm reading Matterhorn. It's a tale of the Vietnam War.
All right, man, go ahead. Tell your story.
When this was happening, Jay White, this was basically like,
felt like it had been the top of the 8 o'clock hour.
Yeah, but it started before it. It felt like a really great New Japan match, like the beginnings of a New Japan match, and maybe it's what I was bringing to it. But anyway, it ended abruptly, and it ended cheaply. Jay White goes over Hangman Adam Page. MJF, because of Prince Nana. Yep. Nana. Because it looks like Swerve and Page aren't done. Page chases Nana up the ramp. Jay White is there celebrating with the Bang Bang Gang. MJF comes out. And so this is what I want to say, that this was happening at the same time on NXT when it was Dragunov versus Dom. So this is, there's a lot of wrestling.
God damn, man. See, there it is right there. Because I'll be like, what do I watch? God damn it.
MJF comes out and cuts a purely babyface promo. I mean, the guy is just he's not quite white meat, but he's pretty much white meat babyface. And Jay White is perfect in this segment. Absolutely that's why you pay him the big bucks. Bring that motherfucker in. His attitude, his delivery, he is the best. But anyway, what you think about this segment, and then we'll get into the quarters thing.
I thought the match was good. I was going to say, you got two of the best you have on the roster against each other. Right guy goes over, especially, leading up to Full Gear. You can't have Jay White lose. That'd be just silly. You're protecting Hangman in the process by having Prince Nana get involved. So, obviously, like you said, Swerve, Hangman not done yet. The verbal war part 2, I guess, for lack of a better term, I thought both did their jobs. MJF is feeling more and more like a babyface, even though it's so weird to even me to think like that or to contemplate like that. Like, backstage, he didn't even snap on Renee. He was just like, hey, Renee, I don't even feel like doing this right now. I need a minute to calm myself down before I even start to talk to you. Old MJF would have took Renee's head off and not even thought twice about it.
Yes.
So, I mean, you could see the evolution of MJF's character more and more as a bigger babyface than one would have even imagined. Jay White is Jay White. I think he's one of the best in the business when it comes on the stick. I thought he held his own better from beginning to end this time around versus the I guess it was the week before where Jay White kind of felt like he was taking punches at the beginning but then threw punches on the back end. It's all to get into MJF's head, and the great part about it is you can see that it's working. I guess where I want to see what happens going forward is if Adam Cole is legitimately, if he's really hurt, then we need to start figuring out how MJF is going to fend for himself solo dolo. If he's not, then you're going to have to figure that out too. I don't like how a lot of things have, now come back and is circling around Adam Cole's health. And just for the record, and I know I put this on Facebook today, it's not that I don't think he can't be world champion. I do want him to be world champion, but if Will Ospreay comes in 6 months, that just pushes Adam Cole back. Just for the sake of argument, somebody else comes back, that pushes him back more. The window for him to be the champion was right around Forbidden Door, the first
Where's
Forbidden
he going?
Door. He's not going anywhere, but I'm just saying
he's got plenty more miles in him.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying if you bring Will Ospreay over, the expectation is that Will Ospreay at some point is going to be AEW champion.
Okay, so MJF, at the end of this promo, Juice Robinson gets on the mic. And Juice Robinson has a history of hitting dudes with stacks of quarters. It's one of his things. I think he's put it in a sock before or something like that. Anyway, he hits guys with quarters. MJF, in one of those babyface promos that he used to cut right in the middle of being a heel, which he did every once in a while, which was always kind of weird. But he cut this promo about how, because he was the Jewish kid at school, other kids used to throw coins at him and call him the Jew and other slurs, and how it really affected him. I believe the story 100%. I think that it probably happened. It's not him really trying to make it sound cool or anything. It seems like it's him trying to be just telling his truth, right? So, at the end of this promo the other night, Juice Robinson pulls out a roll of quarters and has Friedman written on it, which is MJF's last name, Maxwell Jacob Friedman, and said, I got a roll of quarters just for you. This incenses MJF. He is so pissed off at this. You can tell he's hurt to the bone. Some people got offended by this. They said with the situation going on between Israel and the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip, that this bringing up this Jewish thing where Juice Robinson holds a roll of quarters, says, I got one especially for you. MJF, shoot style, clearly signed off on this if it wasn't his idea.
I agree with that.
People are saying that they're trying to piggyback off of and make light of a very real war situation. Jason, what do you think about this?
Some people have too much time on their hands. I never thought of this. I'm just a stupid little wrestling mark invested in the angle that was presented to me. Juice Robinson, like you have said, has hit multiple people with rolls of quarters in his hand and has broken someone's jaw with it in kayfabe style. Now that said, I'm very sure, like you said, number one, MJF signed off on this. If he didn't, then they would have some sort of discussion backstage. And knowing AEW, we have already heard about that. And number two, more importantly, I don't think this has anything to do with what's going on across the world. It's just people just trying to.
It's honestly
connect dots that not supposed to be connected.
It's honestly one of the laziest, stupidest criticisms that I've seen in a long time when it comes to shit like this. This is just heels being heels to MJF.
Duh.
They are just being mean to him.
Yeah.
They know that he's got a weak spot.
The way he used to be.
They know he's got a weak spot that has to do with quarters or has to do with coins. Juice Robinson hits guys with coins. And then they decided to make that the spot that makes it personal. Okay.
Yeah.
All this does is guarantee that MJF's going to win.
I don't want to go that far. I'm still holding out some
Listen,
hope.
when Triple H was super racist to Booker T, did Booker T lose?
Yes, he did.
Oh, fuck. That's right. He did. He lost, didn't he? That was fucking weird. They had the racist heel go over at WrestleMania.
Let's say WWE might want to check themselves before you start throwing stones across that river.
Hikaru Shida wins the women's belt off of Saraya. Where are you at on this, Jason?
I don't even know what's going on anymore. JB Hater, I don't even know if y'all want you to come back anymore. Why have Saraya win the title? I know why. Rhetorical question. Don't answer. Why have Toni Storm drop the title to Shida? I don't get it. If this is the long way to get Toni Storm back to the title and using Shida to do it, then, fuck off with that. I mean, it's just the women's title is just so irrelevant right now. After it's been since Jamie Hayter has disappeared from injury, it has not been fun to watch.
Shida's the old standby, though. Like
breaking case of emergency.
Yep, because she's so good, and I mean, let's face it, the Outcast thing wasn't working. It never caught on.
I can't say I disagree with that. I didn't like it from the start. It felt like a rejected NWO angle for women. I mean, I'm sorry. That's what it felt like, especially with the spray paint.
No, I'm sorry. I was looking forward on the itinerary of what was next, and I remembered. So we had MJF, Renee, Adam Cole, and the Acclaim backstage. That's fine. Then we have Christian come out prior to the main event, and he drops some fucking just hilarious fucking bombs on Edge, where he says. He talks about Nick Wayne and Luchasaurus. He makes fun of the Judgment Day, and he says, I didn't have a bunch of kids dress up like vampires or something like that so they could look cool. He's like, you were their leader. I'm not their leader. I'm their father.
I was like, who are you,
about
Darth
Nick
Vader?
Wayne and Luchasaurus.
Oh,
I
shit.
said Lucha Chris.
Yeah, right.
How good is Christian?
So good. It's a great way to book in Dynamite with arguably the biggest heel in wrestling. I don't even think it's even an argument in AEW. He's the biggest heel in AEW, and it's not even close at this point.
Christian?
Yeah.
It's close. Don Callis.
is okay. Biggest wrestling heel. The physical wrestler. Okay,
yes,
Don Callis
is
probably the biggest wrestling manager.
All right,
that is a heel. Don Callis does.
Those guys are doing work.
Yeah, they're both doing great work. And when they come on the television screen, it's instantly my attention is grabbed. What he was saying, like, he's like, tell Beth and the girls, change the sheets, their new dad's coming home. I'm like, God damn, dude. This motherfucker needs his
I
ass
bet
kicked.
that Beth Phoenix was laughing her ass off at home. Like that's the only way shit like that happens.
Yeah, because it got real tight to the camera. He's looking I'm just like, dude, this is the funniest fucking shit
It was really funny.
ever. I am howling Wednesday night.
That was when Tender Mahal sent the text that said that Christian is a savage. He was so good. And then he ended it by saying, did you want to be on my level when they were pushing you to the moon?
Woo.
I mean, that was real. That's the perfect synthesis of shooting kayfabe, because there's truth to it, and those guys are probably fine with it, but it probably meant something at some time.
Oh yeah, there's definite truth behind that last statement where it felt like
fucking Christian, man.
It felt like Christian was the Marty Jannetty. Now it doesn't feel like that anymore. It feels like they're legitimately equals at this point, which is scary to even think, because Christian doesn't have.
No, it doesn't.
And
Nah, it doesn't.
He doesn't. Christian doesn't
It
have
still-
any
still
of
feels
the
like Edge's-
singles success that
No, it
Christian
still
has
feels
had.
like Edge is bigger than him, though. Edge is the star.
To me, that
You
I
can
don't
never
think
see these roles being reversed. You can never see Edge being somewhere and Christian coming in as the super hot mega baby face. It would never happen.
Okay, I'll give you that. That's fair. I'll give you
But anyway, so he has a match against Luchasaurus. The match was fine.
that. It was. I don't think this was the best way to close Dynamite if you're trying to really win this quote unquote ratings war. Sheeta, Saraya, the women's division is just. It is what it is. We already talked about that. Don Callis, I thought was good. MJF, Acclaimed was funny. Christian Cage was good. But then this main event just felt like this was kind of like, eh.
To get the last word on a text argument, Joey O'Farrell has recently said that Edge is one of the 5 best in-ring wrestlers of the last 25 years. And I'm just going to say, that's fucking insane. Like, who do you think you're talking to? Like, what are you talking about? That's insane.
That's a tall statement.
Anyway, it ends in a schmaz, and it ends with Daniel Bryan.
I thought of you when this was happening. I was like, this is.
It was
Bill's
a
probably
lot.
just like, what the fuck,
Dude, it was so much.
Yeah,
It was like, come
but
on.
I was
dude,
like,
come
I
on,
get
come
it
on,
because
come on,
these
come
guys don't like
on.
these
More
guys, and these
Here
guys
come
don't
more
like this
guys.
guy.
Oh,
I
yeah,
was just like,
here comes-
okay.
It never ends.
By the
It
time it
never
was
ends.
out, yeah, it just felt like a clown car just unloading, and
But
more
it
people were
ends
coming
with
out.
the perfect thing of Bryan Danielson having Christian Cage in the LaBelle lock and Christian
teasing
Cage.
for this weekend.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. If you want to get to that, then that's fine. But damn, you got to
Speaking
take
of
15
Tony
other guys.
Khan booking, this Saturday on free television, we have Daniel Bryan versus Christian Cage for a title. For a pretty good title.
It's got better since Christian.
I didn't even see this coming.
No, I would have never thought Danielson would have been the first opponent.
Have they
for
ever had a match?
I don't.
I mean,
think
maybe
so.
on SmackDown in like 2011 or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say if it was, you're gonna.
Doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, I was
though.
gonna say if it's so
Because that's when
nondescript.
that's when Christian was in the one more match thing 12 years ago. He would keep going.
Yeah,
one more match
yeah,
to Randy Orton.
and that ended up with like a
'Cause Edge
nasty
had-
stare
Ed-
spot.
Yeah, Edge had to retire, and they just put Christian in the Edge's spot. So they had Christian versus Orton. That was a great feud.
Mhm.
Really great feud.
Mhm.
So, Dynamite. Really good.
Yeah, I agree. I was gonna say it was a really good wrestling show.
Happening at the exact same time, we have WWE NXT Tuesday night. And it opens up with Cody Rhodes coming out and saying that he is the guest GM for the night. Ilya Dragunov comes out and stands next to Cody Rhodes, both of them in suits. Dragunov looked the part, didn't he?
Yeah, he looked. Well, I think he's always kind of looked the part. It's just now having him as world champion, kind of, is the cherry on top of the cake. Cody comes out, talks about the Dusty Rhodes Cup coming back, the men's breakout tournament. So that's his 2 big announcements. So in this scenario of why Cody was there, okay, fair enough. He has these 2 big announcements, and now he's going to be the special guest GM for the night. So if you want to play with, why is Cody showing up, at least it kind of makes sense that, especially with the Dusty Cup announcement, that he's there on NXT to make that said announcement.
Okay, so watching this live, I know for a fact. I never went back and looked at it. Didn't say anybody else say this, but I know for a fact that Cody booked Dom versus Ilya Dragunov for next week. I think he fucked up, and I think they corrected it later. But anyway, maybe I heard it wrong.
Honestly, I
doubt
remember.
it. It's not like I was watching one TV with the thing in my head and watching one on TV, and I had the baseball game on the iPhone in front of me, and I was reading a book. I had 100% attention.
Yeah, I was going to say that book was taking the ass in of that attention span.
So
that book is on your lap. The fuck is this book in my way? Goddamn, can't you get comfortable? Shit.
I read like 2 pages
Okay,
in
I was
like 2.5 hours.
going to say. Don't you sit there lying to me talking about you read the
Fair.
book. My
That's
ass.
fucking hilarious. I did have a book on my lap.
I say pages down like.
Been reading it for a year and a half.
Motherfucker.
So we had Roxanne Perez versus Asuka in a match that only lasted 6 minutes. Very disappointing to me.
Yeah, but I guess this is kind of what one should expect when you bring Asuka in to face Roxanne Perez with very little build. I guess this was to show Roxanne can stand next to Asuka, can't beat Asuka, so, obviously not ready for Asuka. It was what it was. It just didn't feel like a good use of either woman in a spot where you could have done maybe 10 minutes and maybe gotten a little something more.
Big fan of both these women.
Yeah.
I watch every match they're in, make a point of it. I would have liked a lot more, but
I expected more, honestly.
There's more to come, I'm sure.
It's not the end of the world for Roxanne. She'll be fine.
This was a loaded fucking show. So
Yeah,
for them to get 7 minutes is kind of good for them.
Yeah, okay,
anyway, then we had what was a very rough and fun match, which was Gallus versus Tyler Bate and what are they called? The Brawling Brutes. Brawling Brutes. Rich Holland and Pete Dunne. What you think of this?
It's like what you said. It was a big mini men slapping meat. Babyface
and some small meaty men slapping meat.
True story too. A part of me kind of wishes that if Sheamus is not going to be around for the foreseeable future, I wouldn't mind seeing the Brawling Brutes go back to NXT for a little bit. I think that them with Tyler Bate, they brought back British strong style. Made at least reference to it. You can go with that for a little bit and have Tyler Bate with Brawling Brutes in that route. But ultimately, I thought this match was good. It was one of those scenarios where it wasn't a spot fest. Because to me, like a spot fest, you see motherfuckers doing all kinds of crazy shit, jumping off this, flying over that. But it was enough where I was like, you had to keep your attention span going because it was a Texas Tornado match, so there was all kinds of shit going on
First of
everywhere.
all, they never should have called these guys the Brawling Brutes. It's just a terrible name. Second of all, Tyler Bate should join them right now.
Yeah.
And Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate should go on a run as the Brawling Brutes.
the NXT Tag Team Champs.
Or the Big Strong Boys. I mean, I know that's Tyler Bates' thing, but I think that is so cool. Calling himself the Big Strong Boy.
They obviously have chemistry together. Rich Holland can be the muscle, take the falls, take the eats, the pins, shit like that.
This was something that they called a pub styles match. I mean, it was a brawl.
Yeah.
Next up, we had Tegan Knox and Lyra Valkyria backstage. Cena and Braun Breaker in the middle of the ring. Cena comes out, gives the rah-rah NXT speech. So Cena, he shows up in a couple more segments coming up. What do you think about Cena on NXT?
It was what it was. It was John Cena's on NXT. Come see John Cena on NXT. Nothing more than that. Gave Braun his props. Stood in Carmelo's corner. Gave some advice to Trick. That, to me, was the more interesting of the John Cena spots when we saw him on Tuesday night when Trick and Carmelo seemingly still can't get on the same page, and Trick asked him flat out, when did you know it was time for you to do your thing?
John Cena.
No,
Keep talking.
It was Braun Breaker sucks. I thought that was cool. The NXT crowd is savage. They don't give a fuck about nobody. They turned that shit around real quick. It was like, Braun Breaker sucks. I'm like, they saying Braun Breaker sucks? I'm like, oh, that's crazy.
It's a good crowd. It's a good show.
It was a good show.
NXT has been a good show for a few months now. We have been on top of it. Two Beard Zach Pullman, big fan of NXT.
We finally dragged him along after I jumped on board.
But John Cena sucks.
I don't think I think sucks is a strong word. When I see him in limited spots, it's perfect.
He flips between Black Preacher and soap opera star. Black Preacher, soap opera star. When he has to actually Braun Breaker, I really respect you. God, he looks like he's so fucking fake. He can't even say that shit naturally. He's just not natural. I hate him.
Okay, fair enough.
I hate John Cena.
There was a time where I hated John Cena too, but that's when I seen him every week.
You know what? I should have gone with my gut. In 2009, when I came back to wrestling, I started watching. I was like, this guy fucking sucks. That was 14 years ago.
Just say that you just come back full circle.
You know what?
14 years ago.
He fucking sucks.
Man, damn, dog. It ain't that serious. John Cena ain't going to be
I'm not saying
around
it's that serious.
He ain't going to be around too much longer, okay? The writer's strike is going to be over here in a little bit. No. Hell no. Man, look, I ain't that stupid to put that shit out.
Like the way I talked about killing that senator?
Let's say we had to go back and rewind that shit. No, man. Like I said, as long as Cena just plays his part.
Hey, everybody, if you can guess what senator I proposed that we put a bounty on to have him assassinated, but had to go back, rewind, and cut it out of the show because Zach thought that I could get in real trouble for it. We'll send you a free BFR T-shirt.
There you go, baby. They in the trunk of my car. I could easily go to the post office. Honestly, I'll just say this. I thought NXT was good. It's just when you bring in John Cena and the like, you're not going to get a show that's going to have a lot of storyline progression, if that makes sense. This was a show to make sure that they won the night and nothing more than that. Yeah, I mean, just looking at it, Mel O'Brien obviously being the main event was cool. But then from there, you had Jade, Baron Corbin, and Cody Rhodes backstage.
So, yeah, we also had Baron Corbin cut a promo before the Dragunov Dom match, which ended up being a schmaz also. A schmaz that I
didn't see coming, and I didn't see coming.
And I loved it. But Baron Corbin cuts the promo. He's cutting the promo backstage about how Dragunov's dodging him. And all of a sudden you hear L.A. Knight. And Corbin's face is like,
motherfuck.
He's like, all right, that's cool. He's like, here I go. And so Dragunov ends up going over Dom. And right when Baron Corbin's running down to beat up Dragunov, behind Dragunov comes frenemy of the show, Dominic Dijakovic.
Oh, wait, hey, man.
Dijak. Nope. Dijak is back. He attacks Dragunov from behind, and he says to Baron Corbin, he says, you got to wait. It's my turn. He's mine. So now we're going to get Dijak versus Dragunov. I'm very much looking forward to this.
Fucking yeah.
Sign me up for
I never
this.
thought that Dijak should have got the axe to begin with. I mean, to me, it was just really starting to get a little interested, even with this Eddie Thorpe feud where they end up.
Do you have the picture of us with Dijak?
I don't. I thought that
if you scrolled all the way back in your pictures.
I do all the time, man, just for shits and giggles, and I don't. I thought Two Beer has it, but I could be wrong. If Two Beer has it, that would be.
It's a picture of Two Beer, JCB, and I with Dominic Dijakovic, which is what his name was at the time,
at our Gory Pro,
at our very first satellite event. And he's holding up a piece of notebook paper that Jason wrote banned from Ringside.
No, I had it copied.
He did not want to hold this up.
At all. Oh, it was like
Jason
we had him at gunpoint.
He was like, yeah, I'll hold this up. He's like, you motherfucker.
Yeah, it's like we had him at gunpoint. No guns around.
So we are rooting for Dragunov. Fuck you, Dijak. Come find me.
Okay, 329 episodes later, motherfucker. You should have just signed up when you had the chance.
So, Dijak Dragunov, Dijak Baron Corbin. It's a story. It's a story.
Where guys are now lining up to get towards Dragunov, and at some point, Wesley will eventually come back and will have his turn against Dragunov as well. So, yeah, off the bat, I like what they're doing with Dragunov, transitioning away from Braun Breaker and Carmelo Anthony. I did it again. Carmelo Hayes. Because at some point they're going to go to the main roster. It's just a matter of time for me. So now here's the opportunity to build up the next round of stars, the Ilya Dragunovs, the Wes Lees, the Trick Williams, so on and so forth. So for me, this was a solid show, like I said, and I know I keep repeating myself, but, I'll go back to, Melo and Braun Breaker as the main event. I thought that was a really solid main event. I'm only counting, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 physical matches on the show. So, I mean, this was, like I said, this was a show to make sure that NXT did not lose the night. Even, I thought the Undertaker part was just, okay, that was just, now, you killing cockroaches with a sledgehammer at this point.
Yeah, but it was stupid. Like,
it
what was the point of Undertaker coming out after Hayes versus Breaker?
No, there was, in kayfabe style, it was just basically to prove that, there's an old dog waiting for you around the corner at any given point. In real life time, it had nothing to do with a goddamn thing.
Is it because he calls himself Badass Braun Breaker?
Yeah, it was basically because he's the American badass, so that's why he came out in the bike and shit. I was like, God damn it, here we go with this bullshit.
Unprofessional bullshit.
So I said, can't you just let Braun Breaker live, motherfucker? God damn.
So
always got to be about you, huh?
So ultimately, NXT pulled out all the stops to beat Dynamite on its off night. So
let's say it happened on a Wednesday. They'd got 7, maybe 800,000.
What, Dynamite? Yeah.
It hasn't broken 1 million in a while.
But still, it's like you pulled out all the big guns.
And that's the end result.
Like, I thought you don't care about these guys. Like, are you scared of them or not?
Oh, no. They definitely care.
Yes.
Okay, let them tell you otherwise. And
No.
that's full of shit. And
Right.
the people that say that, WWE online doesn't care about AEW, clearly that's an ass lie too. They care, they watch, they are paying attention, and for those to think otherwise, you're fooling yourselves and others. So ultimately, like you said, the winners were us. I enjoyed both shows. And
I mean, wouldn't the WWE thing to do would have been Dynamite being like, actually, you know what? We're going to have MJF versus Edge Tuesday night.
I think they did everything short of that, though.
No, they didn't, though.
I mean,
they
what
just
else?
had a regular Dynamite.
I mean, okay, then really, what else? What else would you want them to do at that point?
I'm saying if they would have overreacted,
They being
AEW.
Okay.
If AEW would have overreacted and been like, you know what, we're going to fucking smoke these guys. We're going to have MJF versus Edge. That's something that Vince would have done back in the day. Tony Khan didn't do that.
I think that the
The
counteracting, I don't think is an overreaction. I think it was just a reaction to it. The overreaction to me is, like I said, to me, what everything he did on social media, that's overreacting.
Yes. If you take the shows for what they were both pretty good. And I don't think that AEW blew their wad or overreacted. That's what I think.
No, I don't think I agree with that. Ultimately, the stuff I don't like, mainly the AEW stuff I don't like, let me be specific on that, is mainly the women's division. And I think ultimately it's going to get back to Toni Storm is my guess. We're just taking the long way to get there. Outside of that, I mean, there was storyline progression. You had a title change. You got Swerve versus Bryan Danielson. It's hard for me to sit here and be like, oh, AEW had a shit night. People didn't watch because all the stars were on NXT. And I get that. Kudos to the WWE side. They held serve, for lack of a better term.
Let's get to that 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
JCB.
3 count. Let's take a trip on over to New Japan World. We're going to talk about a little destruction in Ryogoku. Jesus Christ. It's a 10-match card. We're just going to talk about the last 5 matches kind of in detail. These were all title matches. Starting off with Hikuleu and ELP versus Alex Coughlin and Gabriel Kidd for the New Japan Strong Tag Team Championships. Not going to lie, I was very disappointed in the finish of this match because I have now just become a huge fan of Alex Coughlin. Was a fan of Alex Coughlin to begin with, but more so of Gabriel Kidd, especially after the G1 run. He had not a lot of wins, not a lot of points, but definitely stirring the pot at any given chance. I thought that War Dogs was definitely going to win, especially when they had jumped ELP and Hikuleo early. Unfortunately, not the case.
But these were just the strong titles, though, right?
Yeah. They only have one set.
Bishamon
has the other, but Goto has a MCL sprain, and he's medically not cleared, which is very ironic because Aussie Open had to drop the titles when they were hurt, but Bishamon keeps theirs, but neither here nor there. ELP Hikuleo win the New Japan Strong Tag Team Championships.
Were you like, I mean, I was just like, what the fuck at the end of this?
Yeah, because I was just like, dude, it really felt like Coughlin and Kidd are just hitting their stride. I guess because it's Lance Archer and Alex Zane are going to be the challengers here when they come to Vegas. Maybe that's why they did it. I don't understand it. I thought the War Dogs were, at least this portion of the War Dogs, were perfect tag team champs. Not saying that Connors and Maloney aren't. It was just a surprise. That's all. I'm not a big ELP Hikuleo tag team guy. I like them separately, but not together.
ELP is great. I mean, Hikuleo's fine. The War Dogs fucking rule, though.
Right.
I think they were trying to tell a story here tonight because the War Dogs and David Finlay both lost their belts.
Right.
On this event. I don't know what happened in the in the matches beforehand with Bullet Club, but Bullet Club loses all three of their titles.
Chase lost earlier in the night to Tongaloa. Connors and Maloney retained over Kushida and Kevin Knight, so they still have that one set of tag team titles, the IWGP Junior tag team titles, but the other guys obviously dropped theirs, and we'll be talking about that in a second. I thought
anyway. I'm just.
I thought two of the three the tag team championships. I thought were pretty much layups. That was going to be the ones they were going to keep. David Finlay, I wasn't too particularly sure, especially with the build to the match itself. But
just kind of dumbfounded by the War Dogs losing.
Especially this set. This is a team.
I guess Hikuleo did make it to the final 8 at the G1, and the War Dogs didn't really win a lot, but didn't they make an impression?
I thought so, yeah. Especially
maybe it's just for us American fans. I don't know.
No, I don't think it was just us. I think there's a consensus of more people liking the War Dogs. This just did not make sense. It was so right field, and I was just kind of like, damn, it's over. It's 13 minutes later. It was a good match. It just the finish just kind of threw me. Motor City Machine Guns, Josh Alexander versus Okada, Tanahashi, and Ishii. 1540 bell to bell. For those who don't watch Impact, this was the match that I was very curious about because Josh Alexander and Alex Shelley, one half of the Motor City Machine Guns and the current Impact World Heavyweight Champions, are not getting along. They had fisticuffs on Thursday night's Impact, which end up leading over into, or I guess this was Monday morning show, where Josh Alexander clocks Alex Shelley to set up the eventual pin. 15 minutes I thought was good. I thought the fact that they brought over the Impact angle was the one thing I was looking forward to because to me, there was no way Okada and company were going to drop the titles. So for me, we needed a reason why they weren't going to drop the titles. The fact they used the Impact angle to set up the pinfall was perfect. I thought this was a good match. Didn't overstay his welcome, like my boy said. It was good to see Josh Alexander in the New Japan ring. Hopefully a G1 is calling in his future at some point down the line. Time will tell.
Yeah, when he stood face-to-face with Ishii, that was super badass. Give me those two guys all the time.
Him and Okada stare down. I was like, okay, yeah, we can do this too if you want to.
Yeah. Match was really fun. I tend to watch stuff if there's some kind of belt on the line. It doesn't matter who's really wrestling. Like, I just like it when there's stakes. So I watched this entire thing. Tanahashi ends up pinning Alexander, right?
Believe so, yes.
Yeah, so I mean, that could set up a Tanahashi versus Alexander for the Impact belt match if they wanted to do something like that.
Josh has got to win that motherfucker first. But a couple weeks, we'll see. Tama Tonga versus David Finlay.
Wait, who's got it? I thought
Alex Shelley has the title now.
Oh, maybe. All right, never mind. Go ahead.
And honestly, I can't remember if it was Josh Alexander that was the one that took the pin. It would make the most sense because he's the one that doesn't have the title between the three, but I can't really say for sure. Tama Tonga versus David Finlay for the Never Openweight title. 19 minutes, bell to bell. Tama Tonga wins back the Never Openweight title. I was kind of wondering how this match would finish. I thought to myself, if this was a chance that Tama Tonga was going to win it back, this would be the chance and be the only chance from that point on. If David Finlay retained, he would have to, we'd have to move on to somebody else at this point. I always thought that Tama Tonga would be a good neverweight champion, but just never really got the chance to do it, whether it was losing to David Finlay or Carl Anderson kidnapping the Never Openweight Championship and holding it hostage. It felt like Tama Tonga never really got his chance. Hopefully, knock on wood, this is his one chance to elevate him and the Never Openweight Championship. More importantly, if the IC title is not coming back anytime soon, it clearly, for that point, it's time to elevate the Never Openweight Championship, and Tama Tonga is a good guy to do it. And it's an openweight title, so it shouldn't just be heavyweight guys. There's junior guys that can have good title matches against Tama Tonga as well. That's the problem with, at least for me, the openweight part of it. It shouldn't just be heavyweights, but neither here nor there. I thought this match was good. It told the story that Tama Tonga had to fight back from the beatdowns from before, especially getting dog walked for losing the title. Now it comes full circle from getting the title back. So props to Tonga Tonga. David Finlay should be on the way up to be challenging the heavyweight champion, whoever it may be, coming out of Wrestle Kingdom.
So that's what you think is happening, is Tama Tonga goes over so David Finlay can go up.
If I'm guessing correctly, we are going to have Naito win and David Finlay be one of the first challengers to Naito for the title.
So did the War Dogs drop it to go up to Bishamon?
That I don't
Because
understand.
if that's the plan, that's fine. But this seems
that
like
I don't get it.
It seems like a really weird way to do it. Because Bullet Club ate shit this event.
For the most part, yeah, it was not a good night for Bullet Club.
I mean,
losing 3-4.
especially if you think about House of Torture. Also ate shit.
I think that was just a natural storyline.
Anyway,
Go ahead.
This Tama Tonga David Finlay match was perfectly fine. Exactly as good as you'd expect it to be. Not one iota better, not one iota worse. It was good.
No.
Tama Tonga winning surprised me. I just thought that he was on the downslope. I didn't see him.
I would be lying if I said I wasn't a little surprised myself. I just assumed David Finlay was going to retain.
Yeah, I figured David Finlay was going to retain, and then after he lost, I was like, huh. I was like, that's fucking weird. I was like, those are two big losses for Bullet Club.
But immediately I thought, I was like, well, damn, this means he's got to be moving up because there's nothing else for him to do at this point. It's not like there's not a title that's in between Zack Sabre Jr.
That feels to me like they're losing faith in him.
I don't think they're losing faith in him per se. I think it's good for David Finlay to be in the title chase. I think he'd done pretty much all you can do with the Never Openweight title. It elevated him. It got the group elevated. It made everybody, a little more visible. Now, from this point, the only team I'm really worried about, and I'm not even saying I'm worried about them, is Coughlin and Kidd. Their path to the future is a little cloudy, at least in my eyes. Somebody came back. We'll talk about that person in a second. There's a clear path for that person that just came back. David Finlay, I think, is on the way up to the main event scene.
All right. So, yeah, what was next?
Next up, you had a triple threat match. Mike Speedball Bailey versus Yo, replacing the sick Leo Rush versus Hiromu Takahashi for the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. Originally, It was supposed to be Lio Rush in this match. Lio Rush had to pull out because of a stomach flu that had been going around the locker room. They had Yo beat Hiromu in an elimination match, Chaos versus LIJ, and then post-match, he challenged Hiromu to be in this match, so now you have the triple threat back on again. I thought this was the match of the night, and it wasn't even fucking close. It was the match I thought was going to be good if Lio Rush was in it. Leo not being in it, you trading out with Yo. I thought the match was just as good. It just, you had a different style with Lio Rush not being in this match. Yo does have a little bit of kryptonite in his possession when it comes to Hiromu, obviously getting the win to set up this match. I thought Mike Speedball Bailey is a perfect foil because he could do all the things that all the other juniors can do, but has a little, not even a little, a heavy MMA influence with his kicks and strikes. He was a perfect wild card for it. Yo takes the pin on Hiromu. Hiromu pins Yo to retain. Speedball is immediately right back in Hiromu's face. He just wants a flat-out one-on-one match. Still hasn't been pinned by Hiromu and holds a win over Hiromu from Best of the Super Juniors. So there's something to be said about that. We'll see how that plays out here in a little bit. But I thought this was easily the match of the night. And like I said, to me, it wasn't even fucking close.
And then the lights go out.
And the returning Taiji Ishimori comes back. For those who don't watch New Japan, Ishimori was injured in the Best of the Super Juniors tournament by Hiromu Takahashi, not purposely, but in their match where they had to stop the match and call it for Hiromu to get the 2 points. We haven't seen Taiji Ishimori since. He comes back, drops Hiromu like a bad habit.
No, he should. The lights go off, then the lights go back on. And then Ishimori's there, and he looks at Hiromu, and he goes,
What up, turd?
And drops him like a bad habit.
Drops him.
It was good to see Ishimori back. I like Taiji Ishimori. I think he's one of the pillars, for lack of a better term, of the junior division.
This Hiromu Mike Bailey Yo match was insane. Mike Bailey is insane. Haven't really watched him. He's one of those guys. He's an indie superstar. You hear about him all the time. I made my mistake with Vikingo. I'm not going to talk shit on anybody without seeing him ever again. Speedball Mike Bailey rules. Hiromu is the truth, though.
No,
he pulls out shit out of nowhere, and you're like, that motherfucker. It's like you look at him, you're like, that guy is strong as shit.
Yeah. He shouldn't be throwing guys around the way he does.
You know our friend Kevin Connors. It's like you look at him, you'd be like, that's a regular dude. And then when you see him get pissed, or he helped me out of a lot of brawls at Jack Patrick's when I was bartending, and we also had a couple bench press competitions. That's the kind of guy you're like, oh fuck, that guy's like really strong. Like,
don't look
stronger
like
than you think.
Yeah,
he is.
as I say, don't look like much until he puts his hands on you. Like, oh shit, motherfucker, down.
That's Hiromu, guys. That's what Hiromu's like.
No, without question. I enjoyed this match obviously a lot, and it was a nice little setup for what was to come, because the next match I thought was one of those where.
Let's talk about it. EVIL versus Sanada in the main event. Sanada holds the big boy belt. What you think about? Oh, so it is a House of Torture match. It is full of shenanigans, ref bumps galore, refs are running in. Just a total bullshit fucking match. Jason, how many stars do you give it?
Shit, I was nice and gave it 3.75, and I think that was probably giving it too much. It's like Will said. It was, if you watch New Japan and you're familiar with House of Torture, it was legitimately a straight up House of Torture match, and it was torturous to watch. If you don't watch New Japan, imagine all kinds of fuckery from the heel faction and then some. Multiple ref bumps. They brought the original ref, Red Shoes, the senior referee for New Japan, back in from the locker room to try to make him get the pin. The double bird, I thought, to EVIL and House of Torture was perfect. You'd very rarely see Red Shoes stand up for himself, so I thought that was a nice little palate cleanser for this shit sandwich that I was forced to watch. For me, this is more so about Sanada than anything else. I want Sanada to have a decent title run, and right now, there's nothing really that has stood out for Sanada with this run that he's had so far. It's been good matches, not great matches. This doesn't help the argument for those who have looked at Sanada's run and been less than spectacular.
I sold cars for about 6 months in 2004, I guess, and up on North Lindbergh in Florissant, right there at I forget what it was called, Select Automotive or something.
I kind of know where you're talking. I know where the general
right
is.
there by Ruiz Castillo.
Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about.
All right, so we used to have a little joke about Hyundai Sonatas.
What's the joke?
It's Sanada good car.
You ain't shit. God damn, I walked into that shit.
So when I was watching that Evil match the other night, I was like, Sanada good champion, because this is not what you want out of a main event in a New Japan match. When I'm watching a New Japan event, and I'll tell you what, if I was paying for it and not Jason Bell,
I'd be mad than a motherfucker.
I'd be madder than a motherfucker. Luckily, my friend Jason Bell pays for it.
Yeah, it's what I do to keep us all.
I think I might watch the bootleg, but I don't know.
Honestly, you probably should have watched the bootleg. I'm not even mad I paid for it. I'm mad that I watched it. Okay, that to me is more than my biggest anger than anything else, is that I had to sit there.
I mean, at no point did you think Evil was going to win, and at no point was it interesting. It was just garbage, and it was just 5.
It was 28 minutes long. I was like, God damn,
really?
Yeah,
fuck.
That's why I was like, dude, this is getting out of hand. Okay, one of these refs needs to just stay upright, stay out of the ring. I don't give a fuck. End this nonsense.
That's too much.
Yeah, and it would be different if it was what we would consider a main event style New Japan match where you had, other things going on versus the fuckery. You got good spots, you got psychology, you're telling a story, yada yada yada. I don't even know what kind of story they were trying to tell. It's the story that I was getting is that the refs were keep getting bumped down by House of Torture. They brought in another ref. They brought in another ref. They brought back the original ref, and then they lost. That's the story that I got from that.
I guess the main point is that I'm trying to say is that when I'm watching New Japan and it's a title match for the heavyweight belt, there's a standard that I have.
Fair. Completely fair.
That I'm settling in for 28 minutes. That's fine. But it's not 28 minutes of this garbage.
This is the worst New Japan.
When I was defending Evil a couple months ago, defending House of Torture, I was like, listen, as a mid-card, undercard thing, it's completely serviceable to have an Evil match be the second match of the night or something and have all that bullshit.
Get it out the way.
Get it out the way. It's a variety show. I like Yano. Like, there's a place in wrestling for House of Torture.
There are actually people like House of Torture. That blows my mind.
Yeah. But that place ain't the main event.
Not like this. Not with this step. If you want
not
to
like
do
this.
Not
like this.
If you're going to do that, just have it as a match because you're going to book House of Torture to do that shit anyway. It was just so much fucking interference. I mean, Yuya Uemura coming back was the saving grace because it felt like that was the guy that took advantage out of all of this. He was the one guy that really helped Sanada retain the title when at the end when everybody's taking out everybody. Yuya Uemura was the one that was finally like, okay, I'm going to take you out and take you out. All right, Sanada, go ahead and finish the thing on off. Outside of that, it was 28 minutes of just, for lack of a better word, torture. Straight up torture.
I have some breaking news.
Uh-oh.
And this is good news for everybody that listens to the podcast. I took the Chiefs minus 10.5.
Uh-oh.
They were winning 16-8 with 5 minutes left.
What?
And I gave up on it. 16-8.
In the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
God damn. Who died?
I just checked the final, and they won 19-8, covering that 10.5. I told you. Good news for everybody here.
And the May gets to eat for another week.
Yeah, we'll see about that. Daddy's got to eat, too.
You say, somebody's got to place the best, motherfucker.
Nobody is listening. It's just me and you talking to each other on microphone. Your boy Naito comes out, kind of has a respectful back and forth.
No, that's that. Look, the Wrestle Kingdom match is set. You know what the main event is, and that's fine. Both sides did what they were supposed to do. Sanada retained. Naito retained with Jeff Cobb from this point. Just hopefully we don't see a lot of just 5 guys and LIJ for the next 3 or 4 months, because that can get real boring real quick.
That's going to do it for our 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
19-8.
This is banned from ringside.
What's wrong with Patrick Mahomes, man? I'd say.
I don't care.
I don't give
covered
a
like some
fuck.
motherfuckers. So one thing I forgot to mention earlier was Brian Pillman Jr. Introduced himself with a pretty fun vignette. They've been having build-up vignettes for a couple weeks now. He says that his dad died when he was 4. Everybody has good memories of him. He only has bad memories of him. He wasn't raised with his dad's last name, so he's taking the last name of his stepfather, the guy who raised him. His name is going to be Alexis King. Where are you at on this?
Somebody said this on a podcast I was listening to about this vignette, and it made sense. If you're going to make Brian Pillman Jr. / Alexis King his own star, you can't have him be under his dad's shadow. It's not like his dad was, on the Mount Rushmore or anything, but it does cast a fairly large shadow, whether you want to admit it or not, or whether you believe it or not.
No, the story is he's breaking out of the shadow.
I know. And that, I think part of the reason why they're changing the name is to get him his own path, you know what I'm saying, to start this part of his career as not being Brian Pillman Jr. When you saw Brian Pillman Jr. in AEW, you usually rolled him out in Cincinnati, his hometown. He gets this big pop, everybody thinks he's over, and that's not the case.
He showed flashes, though, of being pretty good.
I'm not taking that away.
Don't.
I couldn't if I wanted to.
All right, good.
Fine. There he is. Like I said, I just think this is a good way to get him his own identity, I guess, for a lack of a better term, and start him off however you want to start him off, whether it's a heel or a baby face, whatever the case may be. But I would be lying if I did not say I found these first 2 vignettes very intriguing. I'm interested to see what's next.
This is banned from ringside.
I don't want to talk about it.
Then no.
But I just do want to bring up that there was somebody that we could have talked about this week that we are choosing not to talk about.
Oh, dog. You don't want to talk about that motherfucking shit? We can talk about that. That's good news. Sit your ass on the bench, player. All right. Smartest move that WWE has done.
I'm sitting on the bench. This is not me talking about it.
I will talk about it. I think that, and I said it.
I'm walking away to take a piss.
Go ahead. I was trying to say, I can filibuster on this shit. I would love to. I would sit up here and say that this is part of the reason why I'm glad. If this was Vince in charge, Vince would probably bring this dumbass dude back. Triple H knows he's got a good thing going, and there's no reason to upset the apple cart if you absolutely don't have to. What does bringing the person that should not be named back do for anything, for anyone? It is no reason for a person that is that shall not be named for him to come back. If there was a match that he has not had, that I was like, okay, I want to see this match so terribly bad, so he has to come back? Fine. 15 minutes of a match.
What are you talking about?
The person that shall be not named.
Oh, I was pissing.
Okay.
Wasn't listening.
If 15 minutes a match is worth him coming back, then so be it. But there's going to be so many more headaches coming from that, and I think they took the right route and just taking the pass. Let somebody else deal with his headache, man. The guy let go from AEW for a reason. You let him go for a reason. There's no point of repeating same stupid shit, okay? Don't shoot yourself in the foot. WWE is going strong right now. Watch, fuck it up.
This is banned from Ringside.
Hey, everybody, we got some birthdays this week. Not too many, though. Karen Jarrett, 51.
Huh. I wouldn't have guessed.
Hey, Karen, come find me.
Yeah, you better keep that quiet.
I got like 5 Kurt Angles coming out of here. Bunch of Jarrett.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say swinging guitars and shit.
Nikolai Volkov would have been 76. Stacy Keebler is 44. Tama Tonga, the aforementioned, is 41.
Look at him. Celebrating his birthday. His never wait open champ.
Justin Credible is 50. Kenny Omega is 40. And Simon Gotch, friend of the show, 41.
That boy can talk.
Rabbit fever, middle of the night.
Hey, everybody, we know there's tons of podcasts to listen to, so we appreciate you guys listening to our podcast. For Reba the dog,
Check.
for Xander and Millie the cat,
Check,
for
check.
Edna May the baby,
Check.
for Aaron the wife,
Check.
for Vice, for
Check.
Tindermahal,
Check.
for Lucha Chris, for
Check.
Murray the Murray Man Murray,
Double
for
check.
Patriot Pat,
Triple check.
for 3 Beer Zach Pullman. We missed you. We'll see you next week.
Check.
For Jason Cornelius Bell, I
Beach
am
wop, bitches.
Bill Vagey,
Check.
Black Lives Matter.
Check.
Support your local weed
Check.
dealers. Support your local restaurants.
Triple check, nigga.
Call your parents and boo the
Always
heels.
check. Woo, bitch.